This is the second devlog of a game I've been making, and if you missed the first one, it's a puzzle slash precision platformer, with the main mechanic being you can release your shadow here, and then you can swap with it. So see, that lets me get through walls. And then there's also these shadow barriers everywhere, and they kill your shadow, and they also kill you if your shadow's absorbed, but if you release your shadow first, now you can walk right through them. In the last month, I've worked on a lot of miscellaneous things, but one thing I worked on was making a bunch of new mechanics and levels for those mechanics, and that's what's gonna be the focus of the devlog today. So the first mechanic you can see here are springs, and they do what you would expect springs to do. They're a little boring, but I think they're a good evergreen mechanic to have in all the areas. The physics isn't quite right on them, so I'm going to have to tweak that a little, but overall I think they're good for now. So the next mechanic are these shadow return things, and what they do is that when you touch them, you reabsorb your shadow. And this is another evergreen mechanic that I think I'll use in like all the areas. One potential issue with it is that it could be used a little bit as a crutch, where I can add it at the end of levels so that you don't have to meet up with your shadow. And meeting up with your shadow at the end of the level, I think can feel like pretty nice where things just line up. So I'll have to be careful with that. But overall, some ideas for levels, it's just really hard to make that happen. And I think overall this mechanic opens up the design space, but I'll have to be sure to use it kind of sparsely. So the next mechanic are these ice blocks, and they work by when your shadow collides with them, your shadow goes in the opposite direction, and the ice block is set into motion. And you can do it up there, see? And I think in a vacuum, this is a pretty bad mechanic because your shadow goes in the opposite direction of the ice block, and that just leads to awkward things because if you're on the ice block, then your shadow is maybe going off screen. And so it's not very fun when you have it just in an empty room like this. But I thought some of the level ideas that came along with it were pretty good. And I tried some other versions of it too, like for example where your shadow pushes the ice block, but I thought in the context of contrived levels where you're trying to make something, this actually worked out really well. Okay, so I'll show you a few of the levels with the ice blocks. This one, the ending's a little weird, but that's okay for now. The way it works is this. See, we did it to move that through there, and there, we're done. This next level is pretty simple. This is just what you do. And there, and now we'll put the shadow over there. Get that. And there. For this next level, the main idea is that we need to get this ice block moving upwards so that we can bounce off the spring and get through the gap. And there we go. Okay, next up we have this level, and it looks like this. And if we're fast, we can catch this block, and that lets us reach the secret up here. The normal exit would just be down below, but by landing on that block, we're able to get up here and there would be a secret to the right. There isn't one now, but yeah. This is the next level. The main idea is that if your shadow bumps one ice block into another, both ice blocks stop, and that'll let us get the shadow in a perpetual state going between ice blocks and allows us time to get to the other side. This is what it looks like. And there, see now our shadow is trapped between these two, so we can do this. And just walk to the other side through the shadow barrier. And then we'll drop down and get it in there. Next up, we have these portals here, and they work by, they can either teleport you or your shadow. See there, the shadow goes through it. And I kind of thought about maybe doing portals, but I was pretty skeptical with the idea, just because, like, it might be too much with, like, you're already teleporting around with you swapping with your shadow, and it's just a lot. But then I played Sunblaze, which is a game that just came out with a playstyle that's like really similar to what I'm going for this game. I thought they had portals in that game and I thought they worked great. Um, so I gave it a try, and I like had a lot of different versions of portals. Like one like kind of works similar to the how it did in that game, where it kind of sucks you in and then resets your velocity and gives you your jump back. But I ended up with, right now the version is just the simplest, because you already like teleport with your shadow. I thought it would be weird to work differently than that. I made a few levels and I thought they came out okay, but I'm still not sure if I'm gonna add them in the final game, but I think they might work pretty well, like in combination with some other mechanics, so we'll see about that. Now I'm gonna show a couple levels with portals. This one, you release it, and now I have to jump to meet up with it. I immediately release down, and now I have to wall jump to get back here, and then I release, and there, now I finally meet up with it again. This is the next level with portals, and you see if you kind of try to do the obvious thing with it, with just this, and release it, you don't have time to get across. So what I'm going to have to do is release my shadow backwards, right after I enter the first portal, so do this. And now I can meet up with it again and shoot it back, and now this gives me time to get across here, and now I just can do this kind of weird back and forth thing. I think probably I'll add a portal at the end, because that kind of going back and forth to like get your shadow down is just kind of weird and confusing and not very interesting. So yeah. Next up we have these strips, and they work by they give you a boost in velocity in the direction that your shadow is moving. So see right there. We did that, and it might be a little bit of a confusing mechanic. So I think I might like add some arrows on them in the direction that your shadow is moving. And I think I'll probably, if I use these in the game, use it in a secret area instead of like one of the main mechanics. I made some levels, I don't think they came out great, but I still think it's pretty fun playing around with just like the speedy gameplay, and I think it could end up being pretty good. Alright, finally the last mechanic we have here is these swap blocks, and they work pretty similar to the swap blocks in Celeste, but this time when you swap with your shadow, they swap. See, I can do it, and they swap back and forth. And you saw I kind of got a boost when I jumped off of that, and you can also get a boost from these side ones here, like that. I haven't made any levels with them, but I think they could be a cool mechanic. That's it for this devlog. Next time I think I might do the same thing and try to add more areas with more new mechanics. I still have a bunch of other ideas, and I think one that I think will be really good. I might also like start trying to do sound effects or music, but we'll see. See you next time. Thanks for watching.